Welcome to episode 9 of Timm Talk, the podcast about the DC animated universe, co-created by Bruce Timm. I'm Chris Lord.
I'm Cameron Dexter.
And today we're mixing things up a little bit. As we mentioned at the end of the last podcast, we're not going to go in order this week. We're doing episodes 17 and 19, skipping 18, which is Beware the Great Ghost, which we'll do next week. So we just have two kind of episode of the week episodes that are more or less entirely forgettable.
Oh, absolutely.
They're villains of the week. There's no supervillains. Yeah.
One of them, the second one we're going to start talking about, you know, usually our excuse for these episodes is like it's still a children's show.
Yeah.
But the second one was all about like an economic downfall, which doesn't really make sense for a kid's show. Like that, we'll get into it.
Yeah. The disparity between the great episodes and just the kind of meh episodes are pretty sharp with this show. I mean, even that being said, though, like even their meh episodes are still better than a lot of stuff out there. But, so we don't really talk about like Batman news because we kind of tend to record these early and then push them out later. This one's actually recording relatively close to the news date. I don't know if you saw this, the news about the script for the Batman solo movie they're working on. Did you read about that?
Mm-mm.
That apparently it's a fucking mess.
Are you surprised?
No, I'm not surprised in the slightest. At least the report that came out, I forget who it was, like another writer who heard about it, was that the script as it is right now is a complete mess, and that the quote from the DC executives was, "We don't care because we're going to make a ton of money off of it. Most of our audience who sees this watches it in English anyways, so it's fine."
It's nice to know Michael Bay is running DC nowadays.
I do have a tendency to really bash the current DC cinematic universe, so I thought I'd bring it up. But yeah, I'm not totally surprised. Maybe it'll be good.
I hope so.
I doubt it.
We'll find out.
But in the meantime, at least we have the animated series.
We got the Timmyverse.
Even if we have just a couple of meh episodes this week. So the first one is See No Evil. Mm-hmm. Cameron, what happens in See No Evil?
A lot of stuff.
Really?
I mean, like a lot of little things happen. So we start off, there's a invisible figure walking through, breaking into this little girl's room.
Great place to start.
Taking on the persona, what I assumed was her doll.
Oh, yeah, Mojo.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So wakes up the little girl in the middle of the night as Mojo the doll, and just starts giving her jewelry that he's pulling out of thin air.
Everything you just said sounds horrible.
It's a weird start, guys.
Yeah.
This is also the smartest family in Gotham, if you didn't know, because they're the first ones trying to get out of Gotham.
Oh my God, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, this is the first people we've ever met that are like, this place sucks, let's get out.
Yeah. Someone finally gets it.
She's a cashier. She's got enough money for the nice house and to get out.
Well, this is also the early 90s.
That's true.
You know, I mean...
And a husband who's an ex-con that we'll learn later. So the ghost learns that the little girl is leaving. We assume there's some connection. Find out that it's her dad. And he's like, "I'm going to get you that pearl necklace you always wanted." She's like, "Well, I don't need it because we're leaving." So then he leaves the house and we jump to JewelCon 1992.
Where were they? Like, I got really confused.
The Gotham Convention Center. Have you not been to Comic-Con at the Gotham Convention Center?
Did they establish this at the convention center? I just missed. Okay.
Yeah.
I must have missed that establishing shot because I just see him walk into this building. Like, is it a club? Is it a casino? There's what? And
yeah, it's
eventually figured it out.
Convention Center, Jewel something.
Oh, okay.
So JewelCon 92.
Mm-hmm.
You see a man walk in with a briefcase. I was thinking that he was like a vendor or something. Goes into the bathroom and he has this plastic suit which can refract light.
Yes.
So he puts it on, turns invisible. It can do more than reflect light, but it does it once and then we never hear from it again.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Weird shit.
So he starts walking through and in the most inconspicuous way possible, just starts grabbing everything.
Yeah, he just like grabs trays of jewels and just dumps them into his briefcase.
Right. So, and of course he's invisible, and for some reason when he touches his briefcase, even though it's not covered in the plastic, it's also invisible.
So I thought for a second they were establishing that he had the ability to turn other things invisible as well. I think the briefcase is wrapped in the same stuff because we see later he wraps other things in the plastic as well. So I think he did wrap the briefcase so that it would go invisible.
Okay.
But I like that he starts out kind of inconspicuous because he goes to like an empty tray because people just leave empty trays of jewelry sitting around the convention center.
Well, yeah, JewelCon.
Yeah, and dumps it in there. So that's inconspicuous. And then the next thing he does is grab a watch out of Bruce's hand.
Yeah.
And dumps into his briefcase and then goes to another table where there are people everywhere and starts dumping it. what's the point of being invisible if you're going to be so blatant about stealing things?
Well, what I thought was great was, so Bruce is there, obviously.
Of course.
He's everywhere in Gotham. So this man grabs the watch out of Bruce's hand and just kind of like floats it away. Doesn't put it in a briefcase, just kind of like holds it as he's walking away, like taunting him. And then he grabs a watch off another guy's wrist. And very smartly, the guy's like, I've been robbed.
Yeah.
How does he know? Like, no one knows what's happening. And he's the only one that figures out, like, oh, there must be a person doing this. I just can't see them. And what if I think he was already blind. I think that guy might have already been blind, and he just knows.
Man, there's so much this episode I miss entirely.
I'm stretching for a lot of these points.
Yeah, okay, so Bruce sees that stuff's getting robbed, so he goes and runs into the bathroom to go change.
And that poor security guard. There's a security guard that's a kind of reoccurring joke. Or a two-part reoccurring joke.
When the villain goes in to go change, the security guard goes up and it's like, oh, who locked the men's room? And then when Bruce goes in, he has the same complaint. And then he kind of turns to this look on his face. Because now, at this point, it's obvious that people are getting robbed. Like, there's enough chaos going on. And this guy, does he just really have to pee? Like, he kind of turns. It doesn't look quite at the camera, but like kind of in that general direction. And I couldn't tell, like, is he scared or does he just really have to pee? It was really ambiguous.
It's like a 50-50.
Yeah. So then this poor guy is just chilling outside the bathroom door, and then Bruce, now as Batman, busts the door open and just smashes the security guard in the face with the door.
Yeah. As Batman does.
As he does. Yeah, so then the Invisible Man runs out into the construction site. Batman runs out there as well in pursuit. What happens?
The Invisible Man, using his great knowledge of being invisible, decides to walk through wet cement,
right?
So Batman can find out where he is. And then Batman throws paint,
a smoke pellet. So he kind of gets a bit of an outline, and then the paint.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so then the Invisible Man's now covered in paint. We can see him. How does he get out of that?
He presses a button and turns on burnout. I wrote down burnout ?
Yeah.
But I guess he melts the paint of the suit.
Excuse me. Yeah, I
didn't understand what happened.
I don't know.
But the paint fell off or melted off or something.
Well, we could suppose that if he ramped up the voltage, maybe going through the suit, which then just caused a whole bunch of resistance and put off a whole bunch of heat.
Sure.
Possibly. There's a slight, maybe kind of scientific explanation for it. If I remembered my electrical engineering better, I could explain it, but I don't. So I don't. Let's just say it's feasible.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, let's say it's more feasible than the invisible suit that he's wearing.
Mm-hmm. So the guy, wipes the paint off,
burns
the paint off, walks out of the cement, and as villains do, he could have just walked away. Bruce had no idea where he was.
Yeah.
Honestly, he could have just walked away before he walked in the cement. Like, there was a lot of paths he could have taken.
Yeah.
But no, he grabs a pipe and decides to beat up Batman.
Well, good thing he did.
Yeah.
He's successful. He knocks Batman out, who just passes out in wet cement.
Yep.
Not necessarily the...
Never drying cement, by the way.
Oh, yeah, of course not. No, not the lamest way Batman's been knocked out, but certainly one of them.
Right.
Yeah, so then from there we go back to the henchman's apartment, where he takes off the suit, and he's basically just telling himself he's not going to let his daughter go.
Mm-hmm.
So then from there we move to the school where the little girl goes, with the most upbeat music I've ever heard in a Batman cartoon playing.
Oh yeah, it felt like a nice little sitcom.
It was a nice little sitcom jingle. Actually, fun fact: do you know who the voice of?
I looked it up. It was she was Melrose Place.
No. Oh. That's in the next episode.
Oh.
And the little girl is voiced by a really young Elizabeth Moss, who
that's cool.
From Mad Men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, what? And the mom's played by Jean Smart, who I just love Jean Smart.
I don't know who that is.
She's she was in
this again.
Yeah, you don't know anything. It's fine. She's in everything in the 90s, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, she's delightful. Go look her up. But yeah, and so at the school, the little girl goes to class. The criminal follows the mom, Helen, to work. They have a whole argument about how he just wants to be there for her and be there for the daughter. She wants nothing to do with him. There's a restraining order. She wants him to leave. And she tells him, I just wish you'd disappear.
Yep, I wrote that down.
Yeah, to which he replies, careful what you wish for. Right. So then we finally see Bruce at Wayne Enterprises.
Do we? We do. You're right.
Yeah, because he goes to Wayne Tech because he remembers there being some sort of invisible technology thing. And so he's there with Lucius, who I think we have met before, right? I couldn't remember.
I think so.
I feel like we had, but I wasn't quite sure. But yeah, actually at Wayne Tech, we learned that the scientist who invented this light refracting plastic is dead, but its assistant was carrying on the work.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love the conversation he has with the scientist, because basically how it happens is like Wayne Enterprises used to do stuff with invisible tech, and the guy's like, no, we've never done that. Like, we don't know what that is. And then one of the other scientists is like, oh, but what about that guy with the invisible cloak? He's like, oh, invisible tech. Yeah, we got that.
Oh, yeah. It's nothing but the best at Wayne Enterprises.
Well, all the smart ones leave. That's
absolutely true. Yeah.
Gotta get what we can take.
Or die. Yeah. So
I also love that they called it the cloak of invisibility.
Oh.
Yeah, that was actually the wording they used.
They did.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, wow. That would have been
92.
Yeah, that would have been pretty far before Harry Potter, actually. So
we're on to you, J.K. Rowling.
Yeah. You thought you were so creative and original.
You're just a Batman fan.
Aren't we all? So then Batman goes to the lab where the assistant's carrying on the work. He breaks in. He looks for a folder. How does he know which cabinet to search? He seems to always know, like, go straight away to the very first cabinet possible.
Well, I think it's like alphabetized, I assume.
I don't know.
Because he always pulls it out and everything looks to be alphabetical.
But he never opens like the top left cabinet. He picks one like in the middle.
Yeah, because everyone has a middle name.
I'm getting to
everyone. No one has like an A through F name. It's always
right. That's true. Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, he finds a folder, which is labeled "Light Refraction Experiments Abandoned."
Even though it's still happening just outside of the lab.
Yeah, it's still going on in the very next room. So then he kind of sneaks off, and the assistant, who we've kind of seen work in the background, and who thought he heard something at one point, comes out and just pushes a massive shelf onto Batman. And given that Batman got knocked out by a pipe earlier, we assume he's been taken out by this bookshelf as well.
Oh, but no. He's Batman. Yeah, pops up behind the assistant. Assistant freaks out. We learn the assistant has nothing to do with all the robberies.
Yeah, he's innocent.
And we learned there was a second assistant, kind of.
Of course there was. Yeah. He just kind of was a gopher.
An ex-con named Lloyd Ventus.
Yeah. And we learned that so we get a little demonstration of how the tech works, which actually kind of similar to the Batcape in Batman Begins, where you run electricity through it, all instead of becoming rigid, this refracts light around it, but it also basically makes the person go crazy. It's toxic. It gives off some sort of chemical and it makes the person go crazy. So that kind of helps explain why Lloyd, as we found out his name is even kind of wackier than normal. So maybe we can, that gives justification to some of his really poor decisions earlier, like wearing an invisible suit but being really overt about robbing people or stepping in cement.
There's a big thing that happens next, which I want to talk about, and it's Batman has a gun.
He has a dart gun.
He has a trank gun.
He's a trank gun.
Still a gun. Why is this villain any different that he needs a tranquilizer?
Oh, why hasn't he had one before?
Right.
That's a great question.
For like Killer Croc. I feel like he could use some trank darts.
Yeah. Oh, and wait a minute. He never actually uses the trank gun.
Yeah,
right?
It gets knocked out of his hand.
Chekhov's trank gun. What's going wrong here?
I don't know. He just likes to show people that he has it in case they forget that, like, Batman has everything.
That's true. He's got all the toys. Okay, so
we jump back to the house.
Right.
Kimberly is the girl, the kid's house. Lloyd comes in and just straight up kidnaps the daughter.
Yep.
Batman is close behind, and he's talking with the mom, and they figure out that, obviously the daughter's been kidnapped.
Yeah.
Go to this kind of abandoned...
It's an old drive-in movie theater, right?
Oh, is that what it was?
I think so, yeah, because it had little speaker boxes.
Okay. I wasn't paying enough attention to the background.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
The man finally takes off the mask. The daughter sees it's her dad. She freaks out because, kids don't like their parents.
She's been told that she needs to stay away from her dad. She then runs away.
Has a great sense of direction, by the way. Runs straight back home.
Yeah,
I couldn't do that.
No, runs right back home. I guess this abandoned drive-in theater, or I suppose we can't assume it's necessarily abandoned. It could just be not in use.
It's
at the
late
moment.
at night. Yeah.
It's late at night. Yeah. So it's like right inside her neighborhood. So she runs back. What I do love though is Batman swings in. Or doesn't he yell?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He does both.
Yeah. So the girl's talking to her dad, and Batman way off in the distance yells like, "Not in this lifetime, pal," and like swings down and kicks him. Doesn't sneak up on him.
No.
Or incapacitate him. He could have just shot him with that trank gun because he hasn't.
No.
It hasn't got knocked out of his hands yet.
Remember, flair for the dramatic.
That's true.
That's the whole point of Batman's.
So, I mean, his main goal here, right, is to get the girl back. He just lets the little girl run away. She just runs off, and he's like, well...
He trusted her sense of direction.
She'll be fine. Which, I mean, she is, because she runs right back to the house. Mm-hmm. So, but then... And this is actually kind of a cool scene. I'll give
the car chase is awesome.
Yeah. So the guy runs into his car. He gets in, and we discovered that he's also covered the entire car with the same plastic. Mm-hmm. So it goes invisible. And he tries to run Batman down. It's actually a really pretty well-constructed scene.
Yeah. So Batman jumps on the hood of this invisible car, and there's a great little moment as they're going through the chase around Gotham City where they see like one of the I guess homeless people looks up as Batman's flying by on the car. It's like, now he can fly?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
Because he's just like holding onto the roof. And so, I mean, it's like well drawn too. Like it's just him clutching onto the roof of the car, but the car's invisible. And so they're driving through. At one point, they like power slide through a gas station and knock out.
Oh, and the just giant explosions.
Yeah, just massive explosion. Doesn't get them at all, but just the whole place goes up.
Yeah.
So then Lloyd is trying to knock Batman off. So he starts kind of crashing into debris and stuff. And as he does that, it peels away the plastic from the front of the car. And now we get to see a little bit of the car. You know, Cameron, what did you think this episode was missing at this point? Did you feel like there was a nice running
You know what I haven't
thought?
seen in at least 20 minutes of watching Batman? I haven't seen a train station.
I know. And then, but I was so happy, like, oh, good. They found a way to shoehorn some trains in here.
Yeah. It's just the generic problem of the Art Deco era.
Yeah. Just everything runs on trains. And so they end up on the train tracks.
I would never want to be like a train conductor.
No. You probably
They're
get really good hazard pay, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
I feel like all the trains would just be going like 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
No one ever gets anywhere.
You know, because you got like jokers blowing up bridges. You get children losing limbs to trains.
If they're not in front of the train, then they're riding on top of it.
Yeah. Playing a little chicken.
Yep.
Getting burnt.
And then Batman just shows up every day.
Do you think if you're just like a normal like civil employee, you hate Batman because if he shows up, your day is just going to be ruined?
Well, I sent you that
job's going to be ruined.
Yeah. Well, I sent you that that post a couple days ago about the Batman insurance, about how insurance companies have to get on the villain streak.
What, you did?
Yeah.
Was it a video or was it?
No, it was a text, but it was a joke that was like the villain, like if you're an insurance company, you only insure like you have a bundle for your companies. Mm-hmm. Like you choose the 3 villains you want to be insured for.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh my God, that's such a great idea.
I think that's hilarious. And like each week you can kind of guess like, well, you know, Penguin hasn't done something in a while. Maybe he's going to come back this week. Give me some Penguin insurance. Give me some Riddler insurance.
It's like, oh shit, I didn't fill the box in for invisible guy with an invisible car insurance. Missed that one. So as this guy's wreaking havoc, driving on the train track, heading straight for the train, he bails out of the car. Batman also swings off. The train smashes the car, destroys it. Mm-hmm. Done with that. Batman's he's not very graceful this episode, is he? Because he like swings off and crashes through like a shed on a rooftop.
He's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
And he's thinking about stuff.
He's distracted.
Like I think he just really wanted that watch back, and he's still trying to figure out like, where'd that watch go.
He's really excited about that watch.
Yeah.
And just Jewel Con in general. I mean, he's got a lot of free time. He needs something to do.
So yeah, you know, some people collect comics, some people collect just super nice jewelry.
And he would. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
So then he crashes through the shed, which I guess is a way to kind of like weaken him. So this next fight's a little more plausible. Because then Lloyd shows up and just starts beating the crap out of him.
So here's another thing I wanted to bring up. In almost like, I'm going to say 90% of Kung Fu films and action films, there's in the training montage, there's always that point where you learn how to fight without using your sight. I would assume at some point in Batman's training, he would have done the same TV trope that we see every time and learn to fight without seeing.
Well, given that he's become an expert in everything else.
Yeah. Like where's the flashback to him being taught by Ra's al Ghul, and he's wrapped up and he's like, now you must defeat all of my or he's like in the dark.
Yeah.
You know, because he lives in the dark.
He does. Yeah, he likes to fight in the dark, too. This is the guy who, like, turns off the lights so he can fight people better.
Yeah. That was bugging me through this whole fight scene. Because, like, we see this done countless times.
Yeah, why all of a sudden here is it?
Yeah. This could have been a very interesting, like, flashback to his training and just done that trope. And I would have been very happy with it.
Yeah. I guess they wanted him to be in peril.
As always.
He always needs to be in peril. I do have to say, though, I like his solution to getting the crap beat out of him by an invisible guy, which is he throws the bat shuriken into the water tank.
Oh, yeah.
And so it starts pouring water. So then he can finally see him. And then he, like, dispatches him pretty quick because he's like, peekaboo. He actually says peekaboo.
Good.
And punches him.
Good.
It's like once, I think, basically take him down. And then this is another great episode filled with one-liners. Did you write the one-liner down for what he says to him when he arrests him?
I didn't.
He says, prepare for your greatest disappearing act, the one where no one sees you for 10 to 20 years.
Yep. Got him. You got him, Batman.
Bad zinger. Yeah, so the guy's arrested, and then we're back at the house. Little girl's back.
Yep, talking to her doll again.
Yeah, mom comes in.
Freaking out because she now knows that her daughter's invisible friend was her ex-husband. It's like, who are you talking to? It's like, I'm just talking to Batman. And yeah, Batman's just sitting on the roof.
Like, oh, we all talk to Batman sometimes, Kimmy.
Yep.
And that's it.
So you know what I thought this episode was supposed to be, what I kind of think it's about is the perils of talking to people online.
Do go on. This episode that was created
Hold on. So
several years before the internet, but please continue anyways.
Chat rooms existed in the early 90s. Not chat rooms, but like boards existed in the early 90s.
Yeah.
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 There were. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Fine. All right. Go on.
I think this was obviously it was a couple years before its time, but I think this was the first like don't talk to people you don't know PSA.
Okay.
Where what we go through is like girl talking to invisible stranger she doesn't know anything about, person you meet online. Person wants to meet her in real life. She says sure. She gets kidnapped. Reveals who it is. It's this horrible person. PSA, don't talk to people online. Don't talk to people you can't see.
That's pretty solid advice.
I think this was just, a couple years before its time.
It's telling us 20 years earlier that we shouldn't use Tinder, I think is what it's actually trying to tell us. You're only going to meet weird creepers on there who are going to try and kidnap you.
And they might be your dad.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah. Great lessons in Batman, everyone.
There are great lessons. Yeah. This can go right up there with don't play chicken on top of trains.
Stay away from trains.
Stay away from trains in general. They really don't like trains in this show.
I wonder if something happened to Bruce when he was a kid.
Oh, Timm.
Bruce Timm, yeah.
Not Bruce Wayne, yeah.
Bruce Timm.
That might be, yeah. He's got some sort of weird train thing.
He shoehorns this in like every other episode at this point.
A lot of train fights.
Yep.
I do love a good train fight, though. Rooftop train fight.
Well, I think we brought this up in the very first episode, but Bruce Timm is a big supporter of like, since it is animated, he told the artists and writers that in every episode there has to be one scene that couldn't be done with real people.
Oh, that's right.
And at the time, the CGI probably wasn't strong enough to do like those full speed train fights that we see so often. And for this episode, it was obviously the car chase was the huge like, this is so cool. This is so gigantic. And they're driving through all of Gotham, explosions and everything.
Yeah.
And so there's always that in every episode, we always seem to talk about the one thing.
You're absolutely right. Now, I've forgotten that, or because you've read the show Bible, which I actually should sit down and read at some point. I haven't done that yet. And you are right, because now I think about the next episode we're going to talk about too. There's definitely one of those sequences there towards the end, which at the time would have been really hard to do in live action back in the early 90s. Yeah.
So it's all about taking advantage of your medium.
That's fair. All right, I will give them credit for why they always have trains, because you want to do something kind of cool. A little bit different. Okay.
You know what I miss? I miss a good blimp fight. I see one of those in a while.
Yeah, where are the blimps at?
They're just gone.
I hope there's more blimps.
I hope so too.
I forgot that I missed the blimps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the first episode, they have the police blimp. They don't really do a lot of the police blimp in the rest of the show, I feel like, other than the opening scene, the opening credits. But Yeah, bring in the blimps.
Yeah, maybe it's because they're like trains are fast.
Yeah.
Plane or blimps aren't. It's all about that high speed danger.
It's fast. They're all over the city,
furious.
so it's you're more likely to just run into a train than you are to run into a blimp.
That's true.
Although this is a Gotham, so weird shit happens all the time. Anything else in this episode? Or can we just
no.
trudge along on to the next one here?
Prophecy of Doom.
Oh, Prophecy of Doom. Talking about ridiculous music. Maybe the greatest offender yet, the opening of this episode. I don't even know what kind of song that is. It's like some sort of weird, upbeat,
I honestly
dance,
wasn't even paying
funky
attention.
thing. It's really bizarre.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So it opens and it starts out on a cruise ship.
Yeah,
out at sea.
It was kind of cool. It was the first time we saw like a not train or blimp.
That's true. Yeah, we haven't done a lot of boats yet.
Yeah,
so we're mixing it up a little bit. We basically just get
and we see why we don't see many boats.
Yeah. What is
it explodes?
It's basically an action sequence that has nothing really to do with the plot. But yeah, it's this big gambling cruise ship out to sea. The most typical cartoon bomb you'll ever see, which is just like bundles of dynamite with a watch on it. Goes off, punches a huge hole in the ship, and it starts to sink. They have weird little bits of comedy in there, like the goldfish.
I wrote that down.
Yeah, so I
was thinking, what is it like for a fish to be hit by a wave of water?
Yeah, well, it's probably a freshwater fish, and that's probably saltwater, so fish is probably going to die.
Okay.
That aside, I mean, it's weird. It's a weird little tonal blip in there because they do kind of portray it not as horrific, but they don't take it super lightly. I mean, the ship's going down. It's sinking into the water. People are scrambling for the lifeboats. It's like a shorter, less dramatic version of Titanic kind of going on.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And then I realized this came out 6 years before Titanic.
Right. But I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it came out like...
We're on to you too, James Cameron.
90 years after the actual thing itself happened.
No.
So, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. That
Batman came first.
Like most millennials forget that Titanic was an actual real thing.
It was a real thing.
Yeah, you didn't know about that?
No. Stop lying to me.
It was just an amazing movie. James Cameron, he's so original.
Yeah, he sunk that boat, right?
He built one and he sunk it.
It was James Cameron Sr. sunk the original boat because he knew 90 years later that his grandson needed a good movie.
Yeah, needed to break box office records.
Yeah.
With his clumsily plotted movie.
Because Transformers 2 wasn't enough for him. No. He needed more.
No, but okay, so the ship goes down. We get this weird, like, goldfish. One thing I love, too, it's not a goldfish in a tank. It's a goldfish in a bowl.
Yeah.
Like you would have in your apartment, but on a cruise ship. Mm-hmm. But we quickly find out at least why we bothered to have this whole scene, because Bruce is at dinner with an old friend of his.
Yeah, a colleague, and
name I forgot.
Assume a date who's also the colleague's daughter. I couldn't tell the relationship between Bruce and the daughter.
Yeah, there's some kind of flirtation thing going on there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so with his friend, whose name I forgot.
As did I.
He's got a great mustache, though. So Mustache Man.
Yeah, so Mustache Man.
And his daughter, played by Heather Locklear.
That's the woman.
That's the one, yeah. I love that you remembered Melrose Place, though. That was pretty good. Yeah. That was way before your time. Way before my time, even. So. But yeah, so we find out that the Mustache Man was supposed to be on the ship and decided not to.
Because he's been seeing a psychic.
Yes.
In this psychic cult.
Yes, psychic name Nostromo. So just real quick, I mean, it's set up in that very scene. The daughter even says that she thinks that all these, like, basically there's this prophet Nostromo who's telling people to do things or not to do things because something bad's going to happen to them. Mm-hmm. And so in the case of Mustache Man, it's that the ship was going to sink, and it did. And we already knew it was sabotage. The daughter was like, oh, well, I think it's all a ruse. So we established this whole idea pretty quickly. That guy went to some serious lengths to prove a point.
Well, he needed their trust.
Yeah, I mean, but like that's... And we see how he tries to do this again later on in the episode, these little death traps. That's like a serious amount of work to go and blow up a whole boat and sink it.
Well, I mean, it probably didn't look like that much work. He just put a stick of dynamite in there and then left.
Yeah, it just needed like 3 sticks of dynamite, a pocket watch, and some Scotch tape.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't too much.
Still, an involved plot, nonetheless.
But kind of taking a half step back, there was a moment, and I've seen this a couple times. You might have noticed this as well. But Bruce has this look when the daughter is talking to him. It's like, I think Nostromo has been setting up all these things. And he's like, oh, and he looks at her, and there's this look that he gives, and they animate it the same way every time. And it's I I bet Batman can solve this look.
Oh, yes.
Because that look is always followed by him like going to the Batcave.
Yeah. I would love for someone to call him out. It's like, Bruce, what were you thinking about right there? What was that? You had this weird look on your face.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Just thinking about a friend. So after his look, we jump to the cult. Nostromo is talking to all these rich folks. Bruce is there, and he's obviously not believing a word that Nostromo is saying. So Nostromo has this crazy psychic vision, points at Bruce. He's like, death is calling for you. Bruce is like, yeah, whatever. So we go back to Wayne Enterprise. He has a private elevator up to his office, I guess.
And the guard tells him, like, oh, the repair guy came through.
Yeah.
Is it done?
The elevator's all good.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay.
I was like, I didn't even know the elevator was broken. Gets in the elevator, which obviously going for a death trap here.
Also, this elevator, we see like the whole compartment, in the elevator shaft. That is the biggest elevator shaft.
Yes.
Because you see the elevator completely like go to a good 60 degrees on each side.
Yeah. So he goes in this thing, and we know that shit's going to drop. Like, we know something's going to get sabotaged. So it's pretty heavily telegraphed. What I love about, though, is so we assume it's some sort of like trap, right? Which actually, if you're going to try and kill someone, to be fair, sabotaging the private elevator is a pretty good way to go, because it's only really going to be them who uses it, and you're guaranteed at some point they're going to go and do it. So I'm going to give some credit to Nostromo for that sort of plot, except for the fact that he doesn't set up a trap. He just has his henchmen waiting there to literally throw a wrench into the mechanism of the elevator to jam it and break it.
And then drop...
Why?
Oh, and then put acid on the rope.
Right. Yeah, and then drop some acid on there. But it's like, why? Like, you actually like had a pretty good plan going, but then you just told the guy, oh, just chill in the elevator shaft.
Well, I guess they needed to make it look like an accident.
By throwing a wrench into it?
Yeah.
And putting acid on the cable?
You don't just have random wrenches fall into places?
I mean, I have that problem all the time.
Yeah.
But I just assumed it was just me.
No, Batman has it too.
Oh, okay. Well, finally, Bruce and I have something in common. So the elevator is basically swinging, like you said, huge elevator shaft, because it's just like dangling free. Acid goes on it. Bruce looks up and basically it drops. As it's dropping, he busts open the top of the hatch, fires up the grapple.
Superman change speed.
Right?
Where he switches into his Batman costume immediately.
Yeah. Like, because it was falling and he was still dressed as Bruce. And then all of a sudden he's dressed as Batman and swoops out of there.
It is his own private elevator. There's probably like 3 suits in there.
That's true. Yeah. His good old quick bat change. So he somehow changes super fast as it's falling, leaps out of there, goes up to the rooftop where... Oh, wait, did we skip?
Yeah, I forgot. We learned before we go to the elevator, we learned who the 2 people are. Nostromo is a former actor.
Yeah.
Who was arrested for something, and then his...
It's like petty larceny, I think it was.
Yeah, and then his partner was a special effects artist.
Right.
Because I wrote down, cult is a con, and then showbiz is the biggest con of them all.
Oh, it's absolutely true. Fast forward now to Bruce chasing the special effects henchman across the rooftop. And if only he always had those lightning flash changing reflexes, because as he's chasing the guy breaks a pipe off of like a roof conduit and beats Batman with it.
Oh, ever so slowly. Batman is charging towards this man. You see him pull the pipe out of the wall and then just kind of hit Batman over the head.
Clunk.
And then he falls.
He just goes down.
Oh, so then, no, he's not down yet because he continues the chase slowly. And the guy the steam from the pipe kind of covers up, and the man just vanishes through the steam. Because I liked the moment afterwards, because it was like, I just wanted to be like, how's it feel, Batman? How's it finally feel to have someone vanish on you?
Yeah. You dick.
You do this to everyone.
Yeah.
You can't be mad. You were the last person that can be mad about this.
Now you know how it feels.
So then we jump back to Nostromo's
hideout.
Yeah.
Where Bruce has seen the light, totally understands, and wants to get accepted into the Brotherhood.
And into Hollywood.
Yes.
Great.
Is this whole thing a giant metaphor for Scientology?
Probably.
Yeah.
So we learn the whole plan of Nostromo is he's gathered all these rich people because he's predicted this, or he's prophesized this economic downfall.
He prophesized the Trump candidacy.
But only in the West.
Oh, that's true.
That the economy in the West is going to
He predicted Trump, but he didn't predict Brexit.
Yeah, so going to collapse. And they, for some reason, Gotham's in the east, right? It's supposed to be like New York, Chicago.
Well, I think he means like the Western world, not the West Coast.
I was thinking literally like California.
Yeah. California is really going to have some rough times, but you guys will be fine out in Connecticut.
That makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah,
that's why I was connecting. Oh, that's why I was connecting it to the LA riots.
Oh, God.
Okay. So,
but you're right. So he's predicted this massive fallout, basically, where society is going to go crazy, and so he's convinced all of his disciples, which is only made up of just the richest people in Gotham, to create a giant fund controlled by Mustache Man.
Which has $300 million at the moment.
Yeah, because to prove that Bruce is amongst them, he donates $10 million to it.
Just pennies.
Yeah, that's fine. He's fine. He spends that on makeup alone for all of his Batman aliases.
Yeah. So to sell the point that Nostromo is magic and has these visions, he has like a screen, not a screen, but he has like it's like a screen pop up. And he's like showing flashes of riots. Yeah. And then he levitates.
Yeah, because basically they're holding their meetings basically at the Griffith Observatory. Like, I don't know if you noticed that, but that's clearly what it's based off of. Yeah, so like in the planetarium part of it. And so he's got these screens going off with all these riots and all this craziness. And as the video is going, the daughter, Lisa, Heather Locklear, breaks into the place because she's upset because she learned that Bruce is part of this thing too. She's like, oh no, not you two.
Right.
And when she's there, she gets captured. And what do we find here? Oh yeah, and like Nostromo, like he has like a hook onto his back, like a winch that drags him around, so he floats and levitates and puts on all the theatrical shit.
Hollywood magic, folks.
Yep. So basically, after Bruce has learned about this massive fund, we've learned that he's donated. Mustache Man is driving back to the observatory for I forget why.
To ask about his daughter.
Oh, that's right. He's like, oh yeah, can you help me find my daughter because she's missing? And at this point, Nostromo just completely drops the charade and is basically like, oh, you're going to sign these papers converting all of the fund, the liquid, into gold bullion. Gives a course. And if you don't, I'm going to kill your daughter, who is tied to like
the most uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, how did they get her up?
I don't know.
There?
So basically, the top of this observatory is these. It's basically a giant model of the solar system. Every planet's 6-7 feet in diameter.
Yeah.
So these giant planets and this huge mechanism, this huge revolving mechanism. She's tied to one of them. And they're going to kill her. Batman sneaks in and takes out the henchman.
Yeah, takes out the special effects artist. I think his name was Lucas.
Probably.
Not important.
Doesn't matter.
And then he has this pretty cool... No, not yet, because he has the cool fight scene with Lucas as they're kind of fighting through...
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so basically he busts in, Nostromo runs off and turns the controls on so everything's moving around, and then with a wrench, because they love wrenches, breaks the controls. So... I guess somehow in doing so, that meant that now the planets will collide where they wouldn't have before.
I think he like turned up the speed.
Yeah, which
on like some of them
again somehow makes them collide when they wouldn't have otherwise. But so, I mean, it's
I assume they're on like strings, and so like the faster they go, they'll
give momentum.
Go, yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that. So that but like to your point in the last episode about how they always have like one sequence that couldn't be done in live action. This is it here with Batman and the Henchman leaping from basically planet to planet as they're all crashing into each other. It's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of fun.
I thought it was really cool. I don't understand why sometimes they break through and sometimes they land ever so daintily.
Yeah, there's inconsistency in terms of the workmanship on these planets.
But it was really cool. And then Batman beats the Henchman and Nostromo's running away and he unhooks one of the planets, and it launches towards Nostromo. Yeah, Earth.
Yeah.
Launches towards Nostromo, and it rolls over him, and it explodes for some reason. And,
as it does.
And that stops him.
His wig falls off. He's in a crumpled heap on the floor. Batman rescues Lisa just before one of the planets collides.
Because Saturn's ring was made out of, like, steel.
Oh, yeah, like the same material that the Joker makes his playing cards out of.
Yeah, it's just cutting through all the planets.
So then he saves her, saves Mustache Man, Nostromo and Lucas, whatever, get arrested. It ends with Bruce quoting Shakespeare. I didn't write the quote down, but something kind of cheesy.
Yeah, it was okay. I like the first episode better. The second one, like I said at the beginning, it doesn't feel like Like there are aspects that feel like a kid's episode, but like the whole story I feel like is hard for kids to wrap their head around.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, we have money in an account, we're gonna steal the money from you, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, imagine a little kid be like, what is going on here?
Right. That's why they just hide it with like, ooh, planets.
Yeah, big planet exploding,
space,
sinking ships. Yeah, these are two kind of like toss-away episodes. They're not that special. Do you feel like, so as I was watching these, I'm like, okay, yeah, these are not very good. Now, like I said earlier, it's probably better than a lot of other stuff that's come out at the time. Do you think just because the whole universe, whole Timm universe, which we're going to go through all of it, ran for so long, and by the end of it, especially like Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, we're getting just really amazing episodes, amazing storytelling.
Yeah.
Do you think in that way, going back now watching some of this really old stuff, like it just sets really high expectations? Because I kind of forgot that there were just flat out bad episodes of the show, and the ones that are bad seem particularly bad just because there is so much great stuff in there too.
Well, it's like it's not nostalgia goggles. That's not exactly what it is. But it's like I connect it to when I'm on Spotify and I go back to like a 90s playlist. And I'm like, like 90s had so much great music. And I find myself skipping 15 songs in a row to get to the one song that I was really excited to listen to.
Yeah, time kind of makes you forget the boring parts, the crappy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because and we also like just had Heart of Ice, and we had, Cat in the Claw, which were kind of ridiculous, but still, pretty good. I remember asking you once too, like why there weren't more episodes that had like non-super villains. So in that case, it was in regards to the brothers. The Gangster Brothers with Rupert Thorne and Stromberg or whatever. Mm-hmm. And how I liked when it was the gangsters. And I asked, like, why do you think we have fewer episodes without supervillains? I think stuff like this is probably kind of part of the reason. Mm-hmm. Because, even if this were more or less the same kind of episode, but it was one of the major villains in there, it would probably be more memorable.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because as it is, it's not.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have any supervillains to talk about. No bios to do or anything like that. So should we just jump straight to Bat-Plug?
Sure.
Yeah.
What are you watching, Chris?
Well, we are recording this on the 5th of November. So at some point today, exactly, at some point today, I got to go sit down and watch
Gunpowder, Treason, and Plot.
Yeah.
For I see no reason why gunpowder and treason shall ever be forgot.
Exactly. I love V for Vendetta
so much.
I really, really enjoy it. I know Alan Moore hates it because he hates everything. I've read V for Vendetta. Mm-hmm. I do think the movie is better. It's probably sacrilege.
It's so good.
It's really good. Yeah, and I get that I think what Moore was kind of criticizing in his allegory is different than what the Wachowskis and James McTeague, I think is the director of it, were doing. So it's a different commentary on different things, but I really love that movie. It's just really well done, and I think I've missed it the last few years, and so I got to sit down and watch it today.
Amazing. I'll probably watch it today as well.
You have to, So that's what I'm going to be watching today.
Do you have the Guy Fawkes mask?
I don't have one.
I have my Guy Fawkes.
You have
mask.
one? Yeah, I should get one at some point. Yeah, but so that's what I'm going to be watching today. What about you?
Man, so we just watched Strange.
We just went and saw Doctor Strange, which highly recommend it. Mm-hmm. Trippy as shit. Was it worth seeing it in 3D?
Yeah, it was pretty cool in 3D.
Okay, because I hate 3D, and even like 3/4 of the movie, I'm like, this was a mistake seeing it in 3D. I think you could do one or the other.
Yeah, I don't think 3D changed it at all, but those like very trippy sequences were pretty cool in 3D.
I have to admit they were pretty cool. Yeah, like legitimately. Even if you're getting kind of burned out on comic book stuff, which frankly, if you're listening to this podcast, which there's like 3 of you that do, I doubt you're burned out on comic book stuff. Mm-hmm. Go see it anyways. There is stuff in that movie that I've never seen in another movie before, which that's pretty rare at this point.
Like they take the Escher concept and just blow it out of the water.
And someone asked me too, is it just like Inception? I'm like, no, it's actually very different.
They make Inception look like, I told this to my friend, they make Inception look like a high school's like final project.
Yeah, well, because Inception was still deliberately like grounded, so like it felt like they were often real world environments. There was weird physics going on, whereas this is like this weird kind of kaleidoscopic, visually totally weirded out thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely go see that. Was that your bat plug or just something else?
Am I watching anything else right now? That'll be my bat plug. Still trying to get through Black Mirror ever so slowly.
Seems to be killing you. Every time I see you, you're like, God, Black Mirror, I keep watching it. It's destroying me, but I keep watching it.
It is. It is.
All right. Well, so then I guess go watch V for Vendetta. go watch Doctor Strange, and maybe watch Black Mirror.
Yeah,
if you're a masochist, like, maybe.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, but I think that basically covers it for today, right? So, Cameron, where can we find you?
You can find me at Cameron Dexter on everything.
And I'm at Lordifer. And for the podcast, we're at Timm Talk Pod at Gmail and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And so next week will be Beware the Grey Ghost.
Yep.
Just an episode dedicated to that. We'll have at least one special guest. Maybe more. We're figuring that out right now.
Yeah.
But
we're going to talk about some Adam West.
Yeah. I am excited for that. Like, I don't know about you, but like I watched one episode and go to the next one. And I was prepared for Prophecy of Doom. And then the credit sequence for Grey Ghost came on. I'm like, oh, I just want to watch this. I had to skip it and it made me really sad.
Yeah.
But that'll be a good one. But I think that covers it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.